Hello, welcome to Working Dragon Mystic. Today we're going to be talking about Dragon Magic, so stay tuned. Okay, I've been getting a lot of requests and questions about Dragon Magic. I've mentioned that it's my primary practice in a lot of videos, and well, it's actually even in the channel name, Dragon Mystic. And it did not occur to me up until this point that I had not discussed it at all. So I apologize for that. I have been focused on trying to get out more of the basics and the topics that everyone was requesting or interested in. And in so doing, I completely overlooked this topic. Now, it is a big topic, so let's jump right on in. In this video, we're going to cover the basis of Dragon Magic and what it is, and give a general idea of its practice, because there's no way I can actually dive in and tell you exactly how to practice Dragon Magic completely in a single video. Even the classes I teach take months, so let's do the best we can and go over this. First off, what is Dragon Magic? Well, put very simply, Dragon Magic is a form of magic where you work directly with dragons, and it's heavily focused on balance. Well, not heavily, it's totally focused on balance. Dragons are very, very big on balance. Not just balance in our world, but in our universe and even in the multiverse. Dragons seek to maintain that balance. That is their primary focus in life. Now, the first hurdle the magician runs into in Dragon Magic is actually reaching out, getting in touch with a dragon, and building trust with it. Making contact with a dragon is not hard. They're everywhere, almost all the time. They're very good at hiding. Even before I got into Dragon Magic, I had ran into many firefighters who swore up and down they saw dragons in the buildings that were burning that they were working on. And in all these cases, the dragons had somehow managed to help them get out. So the dragons are always there, it's just contacting them. And that's actually pretty easily done. The hard part is building a relationship and trust with them. In Dragon Magic, that is your primary hurdle. Dragons do not work with people who they cannot trust. And dragons are very finicky. They do demand a lot of discipline. They do demand a lot of focus. And they demand that you put the work forth to achieve your goals. Now, that said, they will definitely aid you in this. They will teach you. They will guide you. They will give you spells and rituals. And they themselves will add their power to your rituals and amplify it. Some say it starts at 9 times your power. So the stronger you get, that constantly ramps up. And some even say that the dragons will eventually amplify your power 1,000 times. Huge multiplier. Now, these multipliers are very abstract, so we got to take anything people says about that multiplier with a grain of salt. But I can attest that without a doubt, working with dragons does ramp up the power of your rituals and help you manifest the results you want to see very, very drastically. Alright, so exactly what are dragons? Every culture has legends of dragons. Dragons have been recorded in history ever since humans have been recording history, which that's a very important thing that shows exactly how old these entities are. Now, I think everyone has their opinion on exactly what dragons are. Working with them for over 15, 20 years now, I've come to realize that these beings are very, very old primal beings. And the dragons would claim that they actually predate most of the gods of humanity and even demons and angels. Now, I do work with demons and angels because, again, dragons talk about that balance. So working with dragons, I have a natural bridge to work on either side of that fence and make allies and friends on those sides. And of the entities I've worked with, including archangels and many of the spirits of the Goetia, and I do remember in the PAX video I told you I worked with Azazel. every one of them does say that the draconic consciousness does predate their own. They don't really have a way to measure time exactly, so it's still iffy. For me, I just try to think of them as three parts of the same thing, leveling and balancing each other out. So if you have the chaotic entities over here, like demons, and you have order entities like angels over here, in the center and then that balance between the two is where you'd find dragons. And they are very primal, and they are elemental beings. Or at least they work with the elements, I should say. Now when you work with dragons, dragons recognize primarily 9 elements as opposed to the standard 4 or 5 most people are used to. And the elements they work with are earth, air, fire, water, spirit. We all know those. But then they move into dark, light. They have an element that they refer to as the Maelstrom. One author has actually termed this the storm element. But every time I've worked with the dragons, they refer to it as Maelstrom. So I don't know why that differential's there. But ultimately, it's the same element. And chaos. So those will be the 9 elements that dragons actually work in. And they actually start off on a low level. So you have your base, earth, air, fire, and water. And then those elements move up into the polarities of light and dark. And then light and dark actually merges to spirit. Then spirit will move into the Maelstrom. And then from the Maelstrom, it moves over into chaos. Now each of these 9 elements has a primary draconic ruler that oversees all dragons that work in that type of element. So these 9 rulers are the big major players in Dragon Magic. Some people refer to them as draconic gods. I've never really seen them that way, and they've never referred to themselves that way. Now these 9 rulers do have a, I guess you'd call it an overseer, kind of a person they report back to. And this dragon has mastery over all 9 of those elements. And as far as I can tell, that is as high as it goes until you get to 2 beings that are known as the dragon and the dragoness, which are the embodiment of masculine and feminine within draconic lore. And these are about as close to a draconic deity as you can get. But we'll have to do videos on them in themselves. They're massive topics. Most people will only work with the 9 rulers of those elements. So in a nutshell, that's what dragons are and the general idea of how they view things. And like I said, they are big on balance. They're also big on keeping your word, honor. So if you're working with a dragon, don't ever lie to it. They can tell if you're lying, and they will not help you. In fact, if they stick around, they're more likely to turn your magic against you for lying to them. Now, they do know the difference between you knowingly lying to them and trying to trick them and you making a mistake. So you don't have to worry about that. It's just they do expect you to be honorable and keep your word. Now, aside from just adding their power to your rituals, dragons will actually stay with you and assist you as teachers, guides, even protectors. In my house at any given point, there's probably 5 dragons running around, obviously smaller ones. 2 of them are definitely primarily guardian dragons. One of them, he's kind of helps me with research. He really has a knack for finding the books that I need when I need them, which I'm glad he does because I can never remember where I put them. The other one is what in Dragon Magic is referred to as a co-magician. Now, he is actually a very large dragon, so he spends most of his time in a hybrid humanoid form. And I think I may have mentioned him in a video before, but he's the one that I spend the most time talking with. He's not only does he help me in my rituals, he also talks me through research I'm doing. He teaches me. He'll pitch ideals at me and those kinds of things. these are the dragons that are in my life all the time. And my wife knows they're here. She sees them running through the house all the time. The two guardians, they're about the size of a love seat, chasing each other around. It can get annoying. So as you make friends with these, they're lifelong friends that stay with you. It's not like you have to summon them up all the time, at least the ones that specifically bond with you like that. Now, the 9 rulers, they won't necessarily stay with you, but they're easy to contact once you've made that first contact. But the big thing I love about Dragon Magick is when it comes to tradition or systems of magic, dragons don't care. They can work within any system or tradition as long as for whatever reason that tradition doesn't ban you from working with dragons. That's the only kicker. And I can't personally think of any tradition at this time that actually has that ban, but I'm sure there's probably one in this crazy world somewhere. So this allows you to take a framework and a system of magic that you can move in and out of other systems, whether it be Luciferian magic, whether it be Wicca, ceremonial magic, shamanism. I even know a few practitioners in Native American that works with dragons. Oh, and voodoo. I actually know a voodoo practitioner who has begun working with dragons and has a lot of success with it. She's done great jobs with it. And the dragons and the Loa and the spirits get along great. Myself, I very much love Norse magic, so I can attest that dragons and Norse magic do get along really well. I was a little worried with that because you don't hear a lot about dragons in Norse mythology unless it's in a more negative light. But that's in Snorri's tales. If you actually go further back, the translations can change up a bit. So I gave it a try, and I'm glad I did because they do work together so well. So remember, no matter what your tradition is, no matter what your path is, if you are interested in working with dragons, you can make that happen. We've already touched on it, but some people would ask, why would you want to work with dragons? What's the difference? Well, the difference is they can add a great deal of power to your ritual. And they make great teachers. So if you're seeking knowledge and you're wanting to learn and advance your path and progress and reach whatever goal it is you have, whether it's ascent, nirvana, doesn't matter, whatever your ultimate goal is, dragons can help you achieve that goal. And I know some people's like, well, I already work with these entities and they already give me a great deal of power. True, I'm not going to argue that. And the only example I can give to this is in the case of the Goetia. When you work with those entities, they can teach you, they can add power to your rituals, and they can help you achieve your goals. You can actually work with those entities and work with dragons and actually stack the power increase if you so wanted to. So that's one way that dragons can help. They can actually move into any other system or tradition and easily help you ramp it up even further. And they are very, very wise and knowledgeable, so they can teach you things about that system you may not know or may not be able to find in a book. Or they can show you new ways to do it that you've never thought of, maybe no one's ever thought of. Also, when it comes to protectors, I don't think you can find a better entity for protection than a dragon. That's what they've always been known to do, is to guard and to protect something. And they really do. On the multiversal scale, they're clearly protecting the balance. That's what they do. Their very lives are dedicated to protecting that balance. I mean, in myths we hear about them protecting treasures and lore, libraries, whatever the hoard might be. And we also know how fiercely combative they can be if challenged. That said, they can also be very reclusive. I mean, even in the legends that we tell here, dragons may go unheard of for hundreds of years before they ever stir. So they can be very peaceful and they can be very reclusive until they're pushed. Now, when you start working with dragons, you'll notice they each have their own very unique personality. Some are a bit grumpy, some are very playful. I mean, the spectrum's as broad as humans, if not broader. But the first thing you're going to need to do is actually reach out and contact them. Now, there's many rituals you can actually do to reach out and contact them. But the simplest is built around a candle ritual. And dragons are naturally associated with fire. Every time we hear of stories of dragons, they're fire-breathing creatures, which they are. But dragon's fire isn't just fire. It has a lot of other properties. It can burn, it can cleanse, it can heal, it can protect, it can empower. So it takes on many, many aspects. But the symbolism is still there. So, for example, let's say you wanted to contact the ruler of the earth dragons and get to know her. She's always presented herself female to me. Dragons are real finicky with names, so the names that they gave me, they don't always give to other people. So what I generally recommend is saying, ruler of the dragons of earth, I call you. But you would sit down and you would take your candle, light it, and you would meditate on dragons and draconic energy, and you draw that energy to you. And I usually like to make an energetic offering of some kind. I'll take like a crystal quartz and charge it with energy and place it on my workspace as an offering. And I'll actually do a video specifically on how to contact these dragons, because I know this is not going to make as much sense as I hope it would in this video. But you light the candle, you start meditating, you pull that energy in, and once you've got the room filled with that energy, you're filled with that energy, then you would make the call. Ruler of the dragons of earth, I call you. Join me here and now in this space and grace me with your presence. And you would chant that over and over. I would say chant it up to 9 times, because 9's a pretty important number to dragons. And then wait. Listen. The presence of the dragons it'll come in a vibration in the room. Sometimes you may not hear anything the first time. It can take multiple times to reach out and contact these dragons. And that's them testing you. How committed are you? Is it just a flight of fancy? And sometimes they may reach out and contact you the first time. It's really hard to know how they're going to react. But their presence can be detected usually through an atmospheric shift or a vibrational shift in the room, or you'll start hearing sounds in the room that shouldn't be there. Often like wind. I've even heard like gravel before, bells, wings fluttering, even what sounded like an insect. I've heard that sound too, from the really small ones buzzing around. So when you notice these things, you've made contact with the dragons. They're there. Now, when you call to one of the rulers, let me be clear. The ruler will show up. They're very cordial. They're very polite. But before they show up, the smaller dragons are usually going to show up first. And if they don't, the longer the ruler's there, the more little dragons are going to be drawn to it. It's just a natural thing. So be ready for that. It's going to get crowded and be a party. Now, once that contact's been made, you want to welcome them. You want to make your intentions known. You want to let them know that you are seeking to learn dragon magic and you're seeking to work with them. Now, even if you don't know for sure whether or not you've made contact, go ahead and make your intentions known. They're going to hear it. One way or the other, they will hear it. And every time you do the ritual, I want you to do that. Now, your closing, it should be, again, very simple. Dragon Magic, for the most part, is a very simple system. The hard part is just building the trust and the camaraderie. I normally just say thank you for joining me. Until we meet again, farewell. And since I do work in Norse, I usually follow that up with saying hell 3 times, because it's kind of a sending off and a greeting word that's usually used to open and close rituals. So I've found that that works really well for me. And again, I'm actually just going to do a video on this ritual itself. Now, the rulers are a little harder to contact than what is referred to as a guardian dragon or co-magician. So you should probably seek to contact, I would actually go with the guardian and co-magician first. So those would be the 3 rituals I'm going to try and get out. The guardian dragons, the co-magician, and the elemental ruler ritual. And the main reason is because the guardian dragons are usually the younger ones. They're the smaller ones, well, smallish, because they can be anywhere from the size of your hand up to, well, like I've said, I've seen the ones running around here are the size of a sofa or love seat. But I do know one person who has one that's slightly bigger. It's, I'd say it's the size of a full sofa. So, they do come in all sizes there, but I've never seen them past that. They do really tend to be the smaller varieties of dragons. Now, dragons can shapeshift and change size, so they'll have no trouble getting into spaces when they need to. And that's what they do, is they are your guardian dragons. They help you. They add power to your magic. They help you in your magic. They'll help you with divinations. They'll help you with your studies. They'll help you with your wardings. They just love to help. They're very helpful. And they're going to try and point you in the right direction when they can, and they will try to protect, well, not try, they will protect you from attacks or negative energies and whatnots. Then you got your co-magician. Now, your co-magician does do everything that the guardian dragons do, just ramped up. But he also takes on the role of teacher. This is going to be the dragon you will be learning the most from. This will be the dragon you work the most with. And in most cases, this is a dragon you form the best bond with, because you two constantly work together. You're constantly working on research. They're constantly teaching you, walking you through different rituals and spells. The whole way, you and this dragon are working side by side as allies. And then from there, you move into working with the elemental rulers. And those rulers will put you in touch with other dragons within their elements to work and learn from. And again, through the whole process, your co-magician and your guardian dragon are right there at your side. Now, for me, I love Dragon Magick. I find dragons wonderful to work with. I love their personality. I love their energy, that raw, primal energy. They have no shits to give. They don't. They do a great job of just, it's like, you want to do that? You do that. As long as the balance is being maintained, they're happy. And I like having that ability to just research and learn anything I want across the board, and having friends and allies that are willing to help me and always be there. Plus, since they don't really adhere to one tradition or one system of magic, that's really one of the things that's allowed me to research and move in and out of so many different systems and traditions over time and learn as much as I have. And that, to me, is extremely valuable. Now, that said, I am trying to get my Dragon Magick class to the online school. It is a massive undertaking to try and get that one filmed, and we're still trying to figure out the logistics of it. But it is one of my goals to get that up by the end of next year at the latest. I would actually want it up way before that, though. However, in the meantime, we will go ahead and post a few rituals to get you all started. Now, I actually started learning Dragon Magick by picking up books by DJ Conway. Dancing with Dragons, I think it was Mystical Dragon Magick. And before she passed away, she finished another book called Dragon Magick. It's kind of a distilled version of her other 2 books with some a few other added notes added in there. But her focus to Dragon Magick came off very Wicca heavy. So that's where I think where a lot of the term draconic Wicca comes from, was her books. And those are about the only books on Dragon Magick that I've ever been able to find. Now, my system of Dragon Magick and DJ Conway's could not be more different. That said, if it was not for her writings and letting me know that this path was out there, I would have never found it. I would have never learned what I did. I'd have never made the friends I did and had the opportunity to pursue the path as I have. So if you are interested in reading her books and getting an idea of what Dragon Magick is more in depth for yourself, I know sometimes it can be a lot easier when you're reading. I'll make sure to drop some affiliate links below to all 3 of the books so you can pick them up. I do recommend starting with Dancing with Dragons. It's actually the first in the series. It covers most of the basics. It covers some of the ritual work. And then Mystical Dragon Magick, it kind of works as a path working to go through what she refers to as the 5 inner rings, which is each stage of training and development. And I did do that path working. It's an amazing path working. It's definitely worth it. And in some ways, if you just wanted to get Mystical Dragon Magick, you could. Everything you need is in there. But there's things that is in Dancing with Dragons that isn't in Mystical Dragon Magick. So they both work as standalone books, but the entirety of her system is actually included in both. It's a really weird set of books. Okay, so I think we covered everything in this very long summary. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. We love to hear from you. I'll do my best to answer them as best I can and as quickly as I can. I'm usually pretty good at getting back to y'all in comments. And I will go ahead and make a Dragon Magick playlist, and I'll stick this video in there. And as I get the rituals recorded, I'll make sure to move those in there so they're easy to find. And I'll try and do some spell work specifically focused on Dragon Magick. I'll make sure to focus on getting those 3 rituals out for you all. And again, I am sorry it took me so long to talk about Dragon Magick. Again, it's my primary practice. I love it, so I'm a little surprised it did. But I appreciate you all putting a fire under my butt and making me do it. And with that, be sure to join us Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Magical Coffee Hour. We do a live podcast, so you can hop in there and you can ask me questions live. Also, be sure to check out our website. It's where we try to put everything. The classes that we do currently have available are there. You can find a link to the school, services, all that stuff is going to be on that website. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'm Drake, and this has been Working Dragon Mystic. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.